Back with more Teen Wolf. This is episode 12 of season 1, and it's the season finale. Here we are at last. All been building to this. I am very excited to see how they wrap up this first initial season of the show, how they set up the next season, maybe even beyond that. Who knows how much they forward plan. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of see what they're doing with this and where this has all been heading. I think in terms of like the general structure of the season and the story and like how they revealed things when they've revealed things, I think they've done that really well in this first season. It feels very meticulously planned out. So I'm hoping for a really good payoff at the end of this season, and I imagine we're going to be dealing with Peter fully and, you know, just kind of clearing the air about many different things that's, you know, have been building all this season. But you know, we ended off with Allison finding out that Scott's a werewolf. Lydia is in some kind of danger, I guess. She got attacked. So yeah, shit's going down, and I'm, you know, nervous but also quite excited to see where they go with it. You know, this could be an episode where we lose people and everything. You know, I don't really know too many characters that like I know for sure go the distance all the way into like the movie and stuff. So, you know, there's a few people I'm kind of worried about. So we'll see if my concerns are warranted as we dive into this finale. But I'm really excited to see how season 1 comes to an end. So let's get into it. Parkour!
Call your friend. Tell Jackson where she is. That's all you get.
I guess that's something. On the plus side, the worst has happened.
Somebody! Help! Help me! Get help, please!
He cares now, does he? How about that?
If she lives, she'll become a werewolf. She'll be incredibly powerful. Yeah, and once a month she'll go out of her freaking mind and try to tear me apart. Well, actually, considering that she's a woman. Twice a month.
Fucking hell.
Sheriff Solinsky can connect every murder back to the Hale fire.
Well, then that's even more reason for her to know, because they've always blamed us for that fire. It had to have been Derek and some other relative.
Because it was her fault.
Get your things. I'll put the two of you on the road within the hour.
This is so dramatic. Oh.
Staying quiet is the best protection. Do you understand? Say it!
Alright.
I understand. It'll probably be cold up there.
Say it will be cold up there, Allison.
Whose car is this? Belonged to my nurse. What happened to your knee? Oh my god!
Ah.
I swear to God.
Ooh. Shit.
I can be very persuasive, Styles.
You can be very forceful, Peter.
This isn't my fault. She's your girlfriend. That's your responsibility. No, she's not. Okay, she didn't go to the formal with me. Then who'd she go with? Do you really want to know?
Oh dear.
She went with Styles.
Now he's dropping Styles in it.
His username is Allison.
Of course it is.
His password is also Allison.
Oh my god.
You still want him in your pack?
Are you gonna do a howl?
That's where they're keeping him? His own house?
He didn't check his own house.
So you're not gonna kill me?
Don't give him ideas.
Do you want the bite?
Oh shit.
What?
Hmm.
I don't want to be like you. Do you know what I heard just then?
Ooby doo.
Your heart beating slightly faster over the words I don't want.
Yeah. It's probably the sensible thing not to, but you probably would, you know, part of you would want that, I think.
Knuckles are kind of hurting, so I brought some help. I need to warn you, I used to play in college.
Oh.
That'll help too.
We know it's arson. And it was probably organized by a young woman.
Wait,
I knew that she'd be in jail.
You don't know her name?
No, I don't. What is it? 20 questions? All we know is that she had a very distinctive, what do you call it, a pendant.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
You're not in love, Scott. You're 16 years old. You're a child.
maybe you're right.
He's also kind of projecting on himself, I think, a bit
I
there.
know something you don't.
Hey, I'll drive.
Come on. Look, just because you feel guilty all of a sudden doesn't make it okay, alright? Half of this is still your fault.
Look, I have a car. You don't. Do you want my help or not?
It's a Porsche.
I was wondering if you can tell me where Scott McCall is.
Scott McCall, haven't seen him since the dance.
I. For the love of God.
He can't do anything.
They brought your sister here so that Peter can kill her and become the Alpha, and that's why you're going to help me.
Did Scott try to kill you on the full moon? Did you have to lock him up?
Yeah, I did. I had to handcuff him to a radiator. Why? Would you prefer I locked him in the basement and burned the whole house down around him? Derek said you guys had a code. I guess no one ever breaks it.
Never.
What if someone does?
What if your sister did?
Someone like who?
And there we go. Oh, shit. Derek's had such a rough time of it. From episode 1 onwards.
You said we were just gonna catch them.
We did that. Now we're gonna kill them. Not that hard.
Well,
I love those brown eyes.
Hey! I know what you did. No one asked you to murder innocent people. There were children in that house. Ones who were human. Look what you're doing now. You're holding a gun at a 16-year-old boy. No proof he spilled human blood.
oh, I like that he's sticking to the code. Oh boy.
Get down. Allison, get back.
Oh, shit. Oh shit. Oh, I don't think this is ending well for Kate.
Saying you're sorry for decimating my family, for leaving me burned and broken for 6 years. Say, and a letter that. I'm sorry.
Shit.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well, well, 'cause you did.
That'll do it. Fuck. Oh boy. Here we go. Oh. Oh my. How many expensive coats has he gone through?
Hey, this isn't exactly an all-terrain vehicle.
Yeah, did you pay for it?
No?
Shut up.
Yes! Yes! Put him in his place. Oh, the cocktails. Oh, and he's burnt again. History repeats itself. Fuck. Oh, shit. That was a well done effect.
Why did you do that?
Because she loves you. Parallel. There it is. Your sister's dead, by the way. Oh, is he gonna finish him off? Become the alpha?
You said the cure comes from the one who bit you.
Oh yeah. I mean, we don't know for sure.
If you do this, I'm dead.
Well, I didn't think he was gonna be cured. Stop smirking, Jackson.
I'm the alpha now.
Yep. Look at me. I'm the alpha now.
The bite's not healing like it would be. She's not a werewolf.
Hmm.
What the hell is she?
Oh. Interesting.
Derek!
Oh, he still wants the bloody bite, doesn't he? Although Derek might want more people to be in his pack now. It's like his claim as the new alpha.
I helped you. I helped save you.
Okay. Yeah.
What about Scott?
I'm not the only one he has to worry about now.
Yes. Well, I'm sure it'll be plain sailing for these two now. There we are. Season 1. In the books. Okay, I thought that was a fantastic finale. A really, really strong end to this overall very strong first season, I thought. But, you know, still lots of stuff to tide you over to next season. So I guess in terms of, like, setting up for the next one, I mean, there's always going to be relationship drama, isn't there, for, like, Scott and Allison and everyone like that. The thing I'm most excited about going into season 2 is what's going on with Lydia and what she is. She didn't die, but she also didn't turn into a werewolf, so what does that mean? You know, there's, like, questioning what is she. So that intrigues me. The idea that maybe they introduce more than just werewolves. Maybe there are, like, other creatures, actually, in the lore of the show, which I didn't know about. It's kind of like when I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I had no idea there were things other than vampires in it. And more often than not, it wasn't a vampire that they were dealing with. You know, there's, like, demons and werewolves and stuff like that in there. So maybe it's a similar kind of deal here, and they're actually going to introduce things outside of just werewolves. Which I guess would make sense as, like, a natural evolution, especially when this first season, you know, the main villain has been, like, this ultra werewolf, I guess, in a way, and now one of the heroic characters in Derek is the alpha now, and, you know, I guess it would be very repetitive to just have, you know, another werewolf be, like, a villain. Although I would say, I guess, Kate was probably the big villain of the season rather than any of the werewolves. In a way, obviously, the alpha, Peter, he didn't do brilliant things, to put it lightly. You know, I did feel bad for him in a way, because, you know, he was just getting revenge for 6 years of hell and, you know, most of his family being killed. But he did also purposefully kill Derek's sister so he could become the alpha. Which wasn't great, and that was, like, his big mistake, really, wasn't it? Or certainly not covering it up very well. So, you know, he's not entirely innocent in the whole thing. And the cyclical nature of how they defeated him and he got burnt all over again, and then, you know, Derek finished him off. You know, that is, like, I guess, in a way, a satisfying conclusion to that arc with him. And it's also, you know, it's not just ending at that, because now it means Derek's the alpha, so what's that going to mean for him and, like, his role in things? Is he kind of taking kind of a darker turn? Because he seemed to be kind of enjoying that power at the end there, where he, like, lunged at Jackson. So there's that, and also the fact that he may have taken Scott's chance of a cure away, if, you know, it's even a real thing that, you know, you can be cured at all. So I think that's quite interesting. And that might provide more conflict between Derek and Scott going into next season. I do like that a lot of the characters do seem like in a morally grey mindset. Like, until this episode, Derek was just on the alpha side, and he was like, yeah, it's an accident, and, you know, yes, he did threaten to kill Scott, but he also then tried to save him a few times. So it's like, I don't really know where people stand entirely, which I do quite like, because, you know, I think it's a bit too soon for Scott and Derek to just be like, yes, we're best pals now, we're in this together. So I like that that's not really how it is, especially when Scott does have a relationship like that with Styles. I think the only thing I wish I had seen was more of the vet, and, you know, a proper exploration of, like, his backstory and his history. I'm sure we'll get that at some point, but I do feel like that should have been something they included in this season, like, really explaining that. It was just like, he's conveniently there, but we're not going to actually explain his story yet. In a way, you know, I guess that's something to explore in the future, but I'm also, I think that's kind of a shame that they didn't tackle that in this first season. Because, you know, it could have been almost a nice complete story in a way if it had just been this one season, they got cancelled or whatever, and, like, the only proper loose thread outside of, like, the Lydia thing, you know, would be, well, what was the deal with the vet? What was his story? You know, we didn't get any hint of it whatsoever, really. So I think it's a shame that we didn't get that, but I'm sure we will. So, you know, the fact that there's another 5 seasons of the show, I'd be very surprised if that's not kind of, you know, explored. So I'm excited to learn a bit more about that. And I guess my other big thing with this season, I mean, I already talked about, you know, Jackson was very flip-floppy, and I think just written for what the plot required rather than being consistent. So, you know, that was another thing I would, you know, I hope they improve upon. And even in this one, like, he always suddenly cares about Lydia now she's hurt. You know, I'm sure it's like bringing out his real feelings or whatever, and he still wants to bite after everything, and he's just, ugh, I saved you. Like, you threw one Molotov, calm down. So there's that, but also I do wish we had more Lydia in this season. They gave her quite a bit to do in the last one, which I enjoyed, but this one, you know, she was just in the hospital bed for the entire episode. But I can kind of forgive that, because I think she's going to be like a key part in the next season with, like, this whole mysterious thing of what's been going on with her. And so I'd like to see her front and centre a bit more and give, like, a central storyline in the next season for sure. I kind of wish they'd swapped around how much screen time Jackson had versus Lydia. It would have also reduced the problem of the fact that Jackson, I think, was very inconsistently written. But still, you know, there's a chance for those characters to go in different directions in the future. So those are, like, my main kind of about you know, this season as a whole. But also, it's its first season, it's still finding its feet. They're not going to get everything spot on, obviously. But, you know, those are the only major issues I think I've had with this first season as a whole. Everything else I've really, really enjoyed. I'm particularly impressed with having a protagonist as likable as Scott. I think it's so easy, especially in this kind of genre, for the protagonist to always make stupid mistakes. You're like, oh my god, you're such an idiot. Why are you doing this? But I always thought Scott acted pretty rationally for the most part, even though, you know, he obviously was in love with someone, he wanted to do it to protect her and everything. But there weren't moments I was like, you are such a dumbass. I didn't really have that many moments like that with Scott. I had those with Jackson instead, really. And I actually think that's genuinely impressive that they managed to achieve that. And, you know, I've already mentioned a few times, I do think Scott's one of the more likeable protagonists that I've seen in a show, particularly based on his first season. Obviously, that could all change, and he could drive me fucking nuts next season for all I know. But I was really impressed with that. I also think having someone like Styles as his friend is going to help keep that level-headedness. And I thought it was interesting that they gave Styles, Peter gave him a choice, like, do you want the bite? Do you want me to turn you? And he wanted to, but he still said no. So maybe an inferiority complex is going to kind of come from that. I think, it just shows Styles' intelligence. Even though he wanted to, maybe he's lying to himself about it. I think his gut would tell him, like, you don't want to do that. In the long run, that's not going to be what's best for you. So I really like that kind of side of things as well. What else? I don't even think I finished my point about Derek earlier, but the fact that he was just, like, until this episode, he really was just on Peter's side, and he was kind of, like, threatening to kill Scott and maybe even go through with it in the end. I thought, like, he was playing Peter that whole time, but I guess he just wasn't. That felt a bit weird to me. I don't know if I thought I would. I don't think I bought that really. I obviously bought the turn once he realised that his sister was murdered on purpose. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Derek as the alpha means next season, and where they go with that. I'm excited to see Scott and Alison's relationship drama next season. I'm sure, you know, her parents aren't going to be particularly happy that they're together, so there's going to be a thing there. Maybe there's going to be more love triangles galore. Maybe Jackson will be more involved in that. Maybe after what's happened to Lydia, maybe he is going to kind of find himself reconnecting with her, and maybe that's going to be the love triangle with Styles thrown into it. I don't like love triangles anyway, but I'm sure that's going to be a thing that occurs. And I did like Alison kind of, you know, learning everything about, you know, the truth about not only Scott but her family and their history and stuff, and the fact that she loves Scott enough to accept him, you know, as a wolf. I really enjoyed that, and her kind of becoming slowly like a badass hunter person. I really think that's a cool direction to take her character, so I'm hoping they lean into that and she becomes even more of a badass in the next season. But yeah, I really like those two together, so hopefully that will remain like a central focus point of the season in the future, their relationship. What else? The idea of like the Hunter's Code and Chris really sticking to that, even when that meant he turned on his sister because of it, because she was like the one who actually caused the fire and everything 6 years ago. And she kind of went against the code by killing innocent people and then just acting against werewolves who hadn't actually done anything to them. It's just like, you know, you need proof and evidence that these wolves have actually hurt people and, you know, done wrong, and then you can punish them. Otherwise, you need to kind of keep away. So I guess that's going to be the thing with Chris, maybe trying to leave Scott alone a bit and give him the benefit of the doubt, but he still would be thrilled with that, obviously. But I did like that Chris stuck to that code, and that meant he turned on Kate when he realised what she'd done. And all that kind of coming out. So, you know, that whole story of like the fire and the mystery of what happened with that, I thought that was really really well done as like the story arc this season. I've liked following that along and seeing it slowly get revealed. So yeah, I really liked Kate as a character. I'm kind of sad that she's dead, because I do think of like the secondary characters this season, I think she's been the most interesting to me and the most fun to watch. But also, she did kind of deserve it, didn't she? She did kill all those innocent people and broke the code and everything. But yeah, I did like that sequence where she apologised and he killed her anyway, because it wasn't sincere. Because it wasn't. Of course not. And of course she couldn't stay away, so they went back. So yeah, I've really enjoyed her character a lot, even though she's kind of, in a way, the main villain of the season. I thought the actress did a great job. She was really likable and really charismatic. So, you know, I guess justice has been done in that way, but it is a shame that I think we're losing one of the more interesting characters, certainly in like the secondary character roster. I've just realised like Scott's mum wasn't in this finale, was she? That's a shame. I'd like to have seen her, but again, there was a lot going on. There probably wasn't really much room for her. So next season, I'm sure she'll have lots of times to shine as well. But yeah, I really liked that whole kind of mystery with the fire and it turning out to be Kate and that whole history and her comeuppance, all of that, and Chris sticking to his code and, you know, willing to shoot her if it came down to that. So that's a really nice fresh change, that even though she's family, he's like, no, this is how it is, this is the code. So he's not actively going to try and kill any werewolves because he has a vendetta against them, whereas Kate just would. I like that they've kind of established that there is a code there. Because obviously, then it would just be he has to constantly try and kill Scott for the entire show, and that's going to get old very fast. And it just, you know, that wouldn't, nothing could happen really. No character things could happen because it would just be that. So it makes sense that they would have like a strict code like that. So I think that is Chris's shining moment for me in this first season, and you know, he's been fine up to now, but I haven't found it particularly engaging or interesting. But you know, him really kind of sticking to his guns on that and being very loyal to his code there. You know, not willing to punish Scott, even though he could have been, well, he's dating my daughter. If we just put a bullet in him, solves the problem. I like that he didn't go to that and resort to that. So that was cool, and I look forward to seeing, you know, where Alison's parents and all of that conflict will go next season as well. I mean, we've talked about Jackson enough, haven't we? I wonder. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't die. I'm sure he doesn't. You know, whether Derek actually bit him or not, or just scared him off or whatever. I'm sure Jackson's not like, well, he didn't survive the bite. He's dead. Let's move on. You know, I'm sure that there's more to that story. I don't know exactly where they're going to go with it. If he is turned into a werewolf now, what that means for his story. But yeah, hopefully he's a bit more consistently written next season, whatever they decide to do with him. So I really liked how they set him up, and then when they revealed like he was adopted and everything, that kind of leaning into that I thought was a really interesting kind of explanation of why he is the way he is. But then I think they just made him a bit annoying in these past few episodes. I'm like, oh, piss off. So now I'm just like, go away whenever he's on screen. So hopefully they change that up next season and maybe let him grow up a bit. He's a teenager at the end of the day, so I guess it's fair. And every show needs to have a character like Jackson in it, really, for the conflict, don't they? But hopefully he will be able to change and grow as time goes on. And yeah, I like the cyclical, if I can speak, nature of, you know, how it ended for Peter and stuff. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this whole first season. I've really enjoyed this finale as well. Really nicely wrapped up all the key things and kept us intrigued by a few elements for the next season and beyond as well. So yeah, I've had a really, really good time with this first season. You know, I've had a few issues overall with, you know, some of the characterization, and I do think sometimes it feels like we should have seen like a certain scene. Like in this one, it felt like we needed a scene where Aniston and Kate turned back and like decided to come back to the house and hunt them down. I feel like we didn't really get that conversation or that decision. You know, they were visiting Lydia quickly at the hospital and then suddenly they're just back. I feel like that happens a lot sometimes in this show. I feel like maybe they've just cut the scenes for time or whatever, but it feels like, you know, we suddenly are jumping to a different thing and like, oh, hang on, weren't you just there? You know, it's like the last episode as well. Styles is like, Jackson, what did you do? And Jackson's like, oh no. And then the next time we see Styles, he's there like running after Lydia. Like, Lydia, run! Like, how did you learn about that? You know, so stuff like that, I think, would be good to improve on as well. But again, it's overwhelmingly in the positives of stuff I've enjoyed this season. For the most part, I think the characters are great. I think the cast are fantastic. You know, I'm really, really liking a lot of the secondary characters as well. Styles' dad, absolute highlight. I love Scott's mum as well. I think the vet's an absolute badass, but I do hope we learn a lot more about him. So yeah, I've had a great time kind of living in this world with these characters and getting a sense of, you know, what the Teen Wolf lore is with werewolves and stuff. So it seems that world, that supernatural world, is going to expand as well with whatever's going on with Lydia. So that, I think, is going to be really fun to see. So yeah, that's season 1 in the can. 5 to go. So yeah, we're going to be starting off obviously with season 2, jumping straight into that. We're not really going to have a break or anything. But yeah, thank you to everyone who has supported these reactions for this first season. Hope you've enjoyed them enough to want them to continue, because we're probably going to. And, you know, the biggest thank you, of course, to people on Patreon who have supported this series as well. And yeah, hopefully we can have just as much fun together with season 2 and beyond. But I've really, really enjoyed this first season. Really solid stuff. And I look forward to seeing where the show goes in future. So that is going to be everything for now. And until season 2, thanks for watching.